Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's App Builder webinar. Our topic for today is seamless database integration with Data API Builder. We give everyone a few minutes to pile in before we get started. All right, looks like most people are starting to come in now. So as a brief introduction on the line today, we have myself, JJ McGuigan. I'm the product manager of App Builder. And then we also have Zdravko Kolev. He is our manager of product development and very involved in App Builder as well. So for today's agenda, we do have just a few slides, but for today it is going to be very demo heavy. So Zdravko is going to do the demo for us. He's going to cover the Data API Builder and how it works, then how to seamlessly integrate your databases using the Data API Builder. Then he's going to cover some CRUD operations as well. And then if he has some time, he's also going to show off some new features inside of App Builder, what we've just released, and then also, some things that we have coming down the pipeline as well. So, like I said, it is going to be pretty demo focused. So, without further ado, Zdravko, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you.
Thank you, JJ, and hello, everyone. My name is Zdravko Kolev. You know me from the previous webinars, and I'm manager of product development at Infragistics. I'm focusing on tools that streamline and speed up modern web development in general, and making the whole process faster and more efficient for individuals and teams, thanks to our Ignite UI web libraries, and thanks to the App Builder platform, which we will talk about more in a bit. Unusual, but today we're going to start a bit differently. Basically, you're familiar that most of the time we just head over to the App Builder platform, we start with demo, what the new features are and so on, but today we're actually going to go for the PowerShell terminal, because this is how you can instantiate the data App Builder with ease. We have created a guide on how to actually set it up with a few commands. You can have an access to the link over here. There is a brief explanation what the App Builder, what the Data API Builder is, that it helps you to connect any type of a database like SQL Server, MySQL, or Postgre in a few minutes. At the end, you're going to get REST endpoints that you can use in order to fetch, alter data, delete data, basically perform any type of very minimal operations like sorting, filtering, grouping, paging even. There is a brief explanation here how the Data API Builder is working. I'm going to touch about this in a bit. And this is the actual essence of the topic, how you can actually install the Data API Builder package from NuGet, which is handling the whole tooling around the creation of the configuration of the Data API Builder. And we're going to use these comments in order to kick it off. I'm going to start with the first one. In my case, if I run .NET 2 install, it's going to say, okay, your version is, your Data API Builder is already available. If you are with an older version of it, it's going to automatically update it. If not, you can actually use the .NET 2 update in order to update it to the latest reference. Going down the topic, you see that one of the requirements in order to kick off everything is to have an underlying database. In our case, we are going to use SQL Server. I have restored a very basic Northwind database, which is having the usual tables like categories, customers, employees, orders, and products, because this is going to be a very easy and easier to digest as an example. The next step, so we already installed Data API Builder. The next step is going to be to actually initiate a configuration that is going to create your configuration with a connection string to the database that I have just showed you. I'm going to use the command directly. Going very quick through the actual explanation, you're setting the database type, the host mode is going to be development, not production. The connection string, in my case, is going to be this one with integrated security and encryption set to false. If we just execute this, it's going to say, okay, the configuration file was generated under this directory. And there are very nice suggestions which are saying, okay, if you want to go ahead with the next step is going to be to actually add an entity, which is also covered in our topic. But before that, I just wanted to show you what the dap config actually looks like. Here it is. If you want to actually see how many different configurations can be set, you can go over to the Data API Builder website, Microsoft website with the Data API Builder page, where a lot of information is shared about what the Data API Builder is, what each of the sections part of the configuration is, what the configuration schema version is, how to set environments, for example, how to make different configurations related to authentication and course and so on. So basically, this is the place to be. I'm not going to delve into more details on what the configuration can give you. I'm going to instead focus on what we were going to cover within this demo. First, this is the schema version. Afterwards, you get the data source section from where you can see the database type, which in our case is MS SQL, and the connection string, which we already provided. For the runtime configuration, we get REST and GraphQL. We're going to focus only on the REST part for now. We have hosts section where we can we're going to be required to specify that we enable calls for all requests, and this is how we do it. The authentication type, and basically the entities section, which is the section that is going to be used in order to list all available entities, which are the representations of the tables within the database. I'm going to get back to our topic here. I'm going to copy this one. And basically what we're saying now is, okay, we know that we have a products data table within our database. Please list it as an entity or with anonymous permissions. And I'm going to do the same for orders, because these are going to be the tables that I'm going to use later on within the app builder demo. Here it is. We have added them, and now if we actually reload the configuration file, you can see that we have two new entities, one for the products and one for the orders. So far, as you can see, we had only 3 commands within the PowerShell tool. Basically, that was it. We use the rest of the topic to just explain what some of the sections are, which we already did. We are pointing out that sometimes, based on the configuration in the database, course should be enabled. In our case, we have enabled it already. And now we can actually go and test the REST API that was just created. So let me just go here and say that start. This was the 4th command. You can see that a lot of things are executed. So basically, when you run dap start, you're launching the Data API Builder runtime, which reads the newly created by us dap config JSON that defines which tables in your database should be exposed as REST or GraphQL endpoints. Based on that configuration, dap introduces the schema of your database, like identifying primary keys, tables, columns, and so on. It also sets hot reloading. If you are in development mode, for example, and you perform any changes to the config file, it will be automatically picked up without needing to restart the server. A lot of people actually think that the magic happens thanks to the entity framework, but instead it's a runtime built with .NET that directly interacts with the SQL database using raw queries and metadata extraction. It uses its own internal logic to map SQL or other database structures to API routes based on the configuration file which we created. So it's not code generation or ORM-based setup. It's actually live config-driven engine. When you start it, it launches a lightweight web server, usually under localhost 5000, as we can see here, that begins serving API endpoints mapped to your database entities. And as you can see, that is all without writing any line of code or compiling any backend code in general, which has its positives and negatives, of course, but we're going to touch on that later. So I'm going to the browser and I'm going to say, okay, load this for me, and here it is. We are already familiar with what the Swagger UI is providing. We have products and orders endpoints already loaded and the schema for each of the entities that we have added. And this is something that our application, a builder platform, is very good with. So how we're going to now start using this newly Swagger that we just created, I'm going to head over to appbuilder.dev. Here you can actually see a lot of materials like dev documentation, our latest blogs on what we're releasing and what are the latest trends in low-code development. And you can also try the app builder. If you hit try app builder button, you will be redirected to the welcome guest page. Basically, this gives you access to the platform without the need of actually providing any email or authentication details. You can just enter as guest, and during your app development, if you decide, okay, now I want to register and just get the full story that the app builder is providing, you can then register. In my case, I'm going to sign in because I already have an account and I want to show you a lot of interesting stuff. So here is the actual platform, my app builder dev. I'm going to head over and create a new application. Very quick overview. Most of you are already familiar with the side navigation bar, which is listing all the workspaces, my projects, my account, release notes, everything vital for getting to know the platform itself. Here we are actually kicking off with creating a new application. We can use one of the existing sample applications. We can use a view templates, or we can import application from Figma design. In our case, I'm going to just start a blank application. And within the app itself, you'll notice that you're served with a toolbar, which is handling all the sections that are responsible for code generation, preview of the code, GitHub integration. You have the action sections over here about data manipulation, components that you can drag and drop in the canvas, the views creation, handling of states and variables, themes, and also assets. I'm going to very quickly go here and say my project is called demo, and from the layouts I'm going to pick, no, I'm going to leave this one. Control E is giving me a very nice dialog which I can use in order to add a new component. In my case, I want to add a grid. I'm going to just put some margin to it like so. And what we're going to do with that grid, we actually want to use this grid in order to edit our data through the newly created Swagger, and we are going to see all of the updates within our database directly. How we're going to do that? I'm going to add a new data source. I'm going to name it demo. And here I'm going to add a new URL. We can get the URL from the localhost server that we have for the Swagger. And I'm going to paste it over here. I'm going to hit save. We're unable to make a request using the URL. Check whether your API service is running and allow course access before trying again. Okay, let's see that. I'm going to cancel this. Close and actually head over to our dap configurator. It was regenerated when we added the new entities. So I'm going to say enable course, head over again to adding a new data source, add URL, same. Oh, we need to refresh. Apologies. Yeah, let me just start it anew. And here it is. Configure endpoints. I'm going to select all endpoints because I want to use all of them. Here you can see that you're seeing all the get, put, delete, patch, get, and post requests. This is coming out of the data API builder. We haven't write any line of code in order to support this, and we also have a filter order by and the parameters that are required for remote paging, which is also great. In our case today, we're going to focus only on the CRUD demonstration. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to head over to the grid, use the DAP demo, and I would say get all orders and load them within the grid. And here it is. You can see that the table representation here is the same what we see in the grid itself. We also get the code with TypeScript, HTML. We have 4 different platforms that we can pick from to auto-generate like Angular, Blazor, React, and Web Components. I'm going to head over to the interaction sections and I'm going to say, okay, I want to have a row added action. And from here, I'm going to pick the post orders endpoint. I'm going to also add one for editing, which is going to be put request based on order ID, and a row delete action, which is going to be delete action based on row ID again. So far so good. What we have right now, we have the grid. We're going to test one update. I'm going to pick Hila, hit the edit button, and I'm going to say I want the order date of this order to be 2025. Let's hit done. Yes, I want to turn on live editing. And now, if I go to the database, you can see that Hila, the order date is 1996. If I hit execute, which is going to refresh the data table, you're going to see, okay, our record has been updated. We can now do the same and just say, okay, I want this record to actually be deleted. We're going to hit delete. Now it's still visible here. I'm going to click execute, and now you can see that Hila is not here. We can do the same for adding a new row, but actually I want to use the remaining time in order to show you something even greater. So for CRUD, in our builder, we use grid. We can use a grid, and we can use also a form that was introduced last year, and it's a very powerful component that gives you create, read, and update capabilities. How we're going to do this? I'm going to say, upon selecting a new row, I want to set a new variable, which is going to be based on the orders type. I'm going to set it to be selected order. Make it done. And also, I'm going to add a new dialog window, which is going to be of type custom content. I'm going to remove this, and here I'm going to add a form. We are going to use this form to actually edit the records. So from here, I can actually go and say, okay, I believe I want this form to be based on a put order request. I can drop it off like this. And from here, I want to get the initial value of the form to be the selected order, which was filled if we click on a row within the grid. Here you can see that it requires an order ID. I can pick an order ID, done. And if I go here and click on a row, you can see that nothing happens. And this is because we actually haven't set up the action itself. So I'm going to click on the grid again, and on row selection, I'm going to use the newly introduced multiple actions feature, which is going to both set a variable and open or close a component. In our case, that component would be the dialog itself. I'm going to put an interaction here, which is going to be on click of the update button, just close the dialog. So let's see what we have now. I'm going to pick one record, which is going to be chops. Upon click on chops, we see that the form is loaded with the chops record. And I'm going to again update the order date. I'm going to put it to 2026. I'm going to hit update. Your changes were successfully performed. Okay, let's see that. Execute, and you can see here the chops record has been updated. Everything, as I said, without writing a line of code. CRUD is working, which is great. So what we have shown so far, how to create DApp configuration within 4 commands, how to set up CRUD capabilities within your application thanks to a grid and a form with just a few clicks within the App Builder platform. And this leads us to the next point, which was, okay, let's just mention what's new in the App Builder that we have released lately. And I'm going to go to the what's new section. We have a new conversational AI experience, which is part of the preview environment. You can have a look at it here. It basically helps you iterate with an AI and create different views, themes, components, configurations within your application. It's a very powerful tool that we are currently exploring. Feel free to test it out, share your feedback, and so on. So this is basically it. You have the chat, you have the chips with suggestions, you have everything that is closer to the old chat models and UIs that are out there. We have added initial advanced filtering. Basically, that's a very convenient way for you to put a more advanced filter to your grid. So imagine that you want to make a complex query between 2 columns, for example. You can now do that, and this initial advanced filtering is going to be loaded directly on preview. We have introduced a few maintenance updates. We have introduced disabled summary support for Blazor, React, and web components. And basically, the whole disabled summaries feature was part of March release as well. So you can have a look at it there. And I believe that would be it. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to say that I really like how Data API Builder streamlines and kickstarts the process of exposing your own database as a web API, making it instantly consumable by any web application that follows REST and Open API standards in general. I strongly believe that it removes the need of boilerplate backend code and offers a codeless setup, as you already saw, through a very simple configuration file, which is great for getting started very quickly. And that's it. I think that as application grows, apps grow, and complexity also grows, probably a more advanced logic will be required, like custom paging, filtering. So in my opinion, the question remains whether a purely config-driven approach will be flexible enough to handle those cases without writing custom middleware. I am particularly interested in how the Data API Builder idea will evolve in that direction, and I'm looking forward to the proposal in their public GitHub repository of OpenID Connect support, which will be a major step toward making Data API Builder suitable for production-grade applications with richer authentication and access control. So yes, with that said, I'd like to wrap up today's webinar and demo. I hope you found it useful, and now you feel more confident in getting started with Data API Builder using your own predefined backend database. we've seen how it can significantly reduce the time and complexity of setting up APIs, making it easier to build data-driven web apps faster. And combined with the power of App Builder, as we already saw, you now have a streamlined path from database to UI with just a minimal effort. And that would be it. Thanks for joining, and we look forward to seeing what you built, what applications you built, and as always, feel free to reach out. Back to you, JJ.
All right, thank you for that demo, Zdravko. So that does pretty much wrap us up for today. I do have a quick poll here. It's only about 5 or 6 questions. If you wouldn't mind taking the time to fill it out, we do appreciate all your feedback, and it also helps shape future releases for App Builder as well. And then, of course, if you would like to try App Builder, you can go directly to our website, appbuilder.dev. You could also contact us for a personalized demo as well. You could access that directly from the website. Or if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. That's my contact information there at the bottom. But also we have the Zdravko's email here, and then, of course, Jason Barris as well. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we could definitely help you out. But that is all we have for today. So I thank you guys for coming to the session, and we hope to see you guys on the next one.